This is Unit 8, Lesson D, Solving Systems by Elimination. After this lesson, you should be able to solve a system of linear equations by using the elimination method. So we've already used the graphing method, where we graph two lines to see where they cross to find the solution. We used the substitution method, where we solved one variable by itself, plugged it into the other equation to find the other variable. Now we're going to be using the elimination method, which has us getting rid of one variable in order to solve for the other one. So the steps to solving a linear system by combination, they're either called elimination or combination. It means the same method. The first step is to combine the two equations together to eliminate one of the variables. We're then going to do step 2, solve for the remaining variable. So at that point in time, you know you eliminated correctly when you only have one variable left over. You're going to solve for it. Then you're going to plug that answer back into step 2 and solve for the other variable. At that point in time, you should have both your variables. Remember, your answer is an ordered pair, x and then y. Pause the video now as you take a look at example 1. Actually, let's walk through example 1 together. We're going to be combining these two equations. So that literally means we're adding both equations together. As you can see, 4x plus 2x gives us 6x. We have positive 3y minus 3y, which actually gives us 0. That's where it eliminates that variable. And of course, 16 plus 8 is 24. So really what we're doing is we're just adding the variable of x because my y's canceled. So our equation reads 6x equals 24. We're going to divide both sides by 6, and we get x to equal 4. Now, even though we got an answer, it's not our final answer because we need an x and a y value. So we're going to take what we got for x, and we're going to plug it back into that top equation. Again, you can plug it into either equation, but I'm choosing the top one just because. As you see, we rewrite the top equation with parentheses in place of the x variable. We're plugging in a 4. That's what we got when we solved. 4 times 4 is 16, and then we drop down our 3y and our 16 on the other side. Now we're solving for y, so we know 3y are lovebirds, so we subtract 16 on both sides. That gives us 3y equals 0. We know we're solving for y. To get it by itself, we divide both sides by 3, and we get y to equal 0. For our final answer, it's always going to be an ordered pair. The x value comes first, followed by the y value, making our final answer 4, 0. If we were to graph those two equations, they would cross at the point 4, 0. Pause the video now as you try example 2. Press play to go over your answer. Make sure you're actually pausing and trying the problems. That's how you learn. Again, we're combining the equations. Of course, you can see our x's are opposites, so they eliminate. Our y's add together to make 26y. Our constants add together to make 39. We're solving for y, so we divide both sides by 26. That gives us the fraction y equals 39 divided by 26. We always need to check to see if we can simplify our fractions. Really, we tried 2. Both of them aren't even, so we can't divide them by 2. We could try 3, but 3 doesn't go into 26. 5 doesn't work. Whenever you're stuck trying to simplify a fraction, always go with what are the factors of one of the numbers. I know that 2 and 13 go into 26. Well, 2 doesn't go into 39, but 13 can. 39 can be divided by 13, as well as 26 can be divided by 13, meaning our simplified fraction is 3/2. Now, I know that looks a little intimidating, but it's okay because remember, fractions are our friends. We're going to take what y equals, and we're going to plug it back into one of the equations. I rewrite the top equation with parentheses instead of the y variable. We're plugging in our 3/2, which is what we got y to equal. Now, to do the math, remember we got to invite 20 to the fraction party. We then say 20 times 3 is 60, 1 times 2 is 2, and 60 divided by 2 is 30. So that whole area, 20 times 3/2, gives us 30. We drop down our 12x and our 24. Now we're solving for the remaining variable, which in this case is x. So then we're going to subtract 30 on both sides. We get 12x equals -6. So we divide both sides by 12. and that gives us a fraction that we need to simplify. I can divide 6 and 12 both by 6. Negative 6 divided by 6 is negative 1. 12 divided by negative 6 is 2. So x equals negative 1/2. Now that I have both my x and my y variable, I need to put them in an ordered pair, my x value going first, my y value going second, for a final answer of negative 1/2 and 3/2. It's a little bit of an intimidating problem, but hopefully you saw fractions are friends and not too hard to solve. Pause the video now as you try example 3. Press play to go over your answer. Make sure you're pausing the video. Come on, pause it. Of course, we're adding these equations together. We're eliminating our x values because they're opposites. Our y's make 8y. Our constants make negative 24. We divide both sides by 8. Y equals negative 3. Now that we have that value, we're going to plug it back in. I chose the bottom equation. Why not? I rewrote it with parentheses instead of the y variable. I plugged in negative 3, which I solved for. 6 times negative 3 is negative 18. The equation now reads x minus 18 is negative 16. We are solving for x, so we add 18 to both sides. X equals positive 2. Our final answer should be an ordered pair, x value first, y value second. So our final answer is 2, negative 3. So as you can see here, if those two lines were graphed onto a grid, they would cross at the point 2, negative 3. Pause the video now as you try example 4. Press play to go over your answer. We're combining the equations. 3x minus 5x is negative 2x. My y's cancel. My constants add to negative 4. I divide both sides by negative 2. X equals positive 2. Now that we have our x value, we're going to plug it back in. I chose the top equation. I rewrote it with parentheses instead of the variable. I plugged in 2, which is what I got when I solved for x. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2y equals 8 drops down. We're solving for y. 2y are our lovebirds, so we subtract 6. 2y equals 2, so we divide by 2 on both sides. Y equals 1. Our final answer is going to be an ordered pair with our x value first and our y value second. So our final answer is 2, 1. Those two lines would cross at the point 2, 1. Pause the video now as you try example 5. Press play to go over your answer. We're combining the two equations together. 3x and negative 3x are opposites, so they eliminate. Negative 6 and 6y are also opposites, so they eliminate. Our constants add to make 8, but we only have 0 on the other side. Does 0 equal 8? That's not true. Whenever you get a value that's not true, you know that there is no solution. Remember back when we talked about parallel, perpendicular, coincident, and IB&P, when there's no solution, what kind of lines were they? Hopefully you're thinking about parallel lines. They have no solution because they never cross. And of course they never cross because they have the same slope. So all of that kind of connects together. This brings us to the end of the video. Make sure if you have any questions, you raise your hand and ask your teacher or the assistant tutor. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.